Alright, what is up, guys? This is, I think, the first video on the channel where I actually show my face, or somewhat show my face. I still got the fucking sunglasses on. This is going to be a longer type of video. This is going to be a Bears quarterback Iceberg video. So we're going to go over every Bears quarterback to start at least one game since 1985, 1986, pretty much after they won the Super Bowl. And it's a pretty long list. Doing research on this video has made me kind of depressed, because just looking at these names, like, what the fuck? Why did they start a game? Why did we have them on our fucking roster? Yeah, so the Bears, they don't have the best luck when it comes to quarterbacks. We're still the only franchise in the NFL not to have a quarterback throw for 4,000 yards or throw 30 touchdowns in a season. It's depressing. I don't want to be a Bears fan, but you know what? I can't change that, sadly. But yeah, this is gonna be a long video, so I hope you guys like it, and let's get right into it. So this first tier is gonna be one game fill-ins. So basically, if they start one game as a Bear, they're on this list. They didn't start any more games, just one. And there's some pretty familiar names on this list. So let's fucking get into it. So the first quarterback we got is Doug Flutie, right? The same Doug Flutie. He was the backup for the Patriots and the Buffalo Bills. He started his career out as a Chicago Bear before going over to the Canadian Football League. And as a Bear, not that great. 3 touchdowns, 2 interceptions, and 1 game started. It was against the Dallas Cowboys, ended up winning that game, and he played mostly the first half of that game. And technically, he started 2 games, but the other game was during the playoffs. So I'm only counting regular season. And Flutie, yeah, he was not that great as a Bear. He kind of cost us that game against the Washington Redskins in '86. We probably should have won the Super Bowl. We went 14-2. But yeah, that was Doug Flutie. Steve Bradley. I don't think anyone knows who that fucking guy is, but he started a game for the Chicago Bears in 1987 against the Saints, and they lost 19-17. And he didn't play good at all. And I actually had a hard time finding his picture on the internet. It was fucking difficult. I got it right there. However, I'm not 100% sure if that's him or not. But the number matches up. He wore number 12. That's it right there. I don't have good resources, but he started a game for the Bears, and he threw for 77 yards, 2 touchdowns, and 3 interceptions. And it's not a fucking mystery why he only started 1 game for the Bears. Will Fuller. I don't know if you guys have heard of him. Probably not. He started 1 game for the Bears in 1992. He didn't throw a single touchdown, and he threw 3 interceptions in a game against the Dallas Cowboys, which the Bears lost. I know, shocking. He wasn't good. He played 1 more season in '95, and he started 1 game for the Houston Oilers, and that did not go well either. So, Will Fuller, yep, he started a game for the Bears. Next guy up, Moses Moreno, who started a game for the Chicago Bears in 1998 against the Bucks. His stats, 1 touchdown, 0 interceptions. Pretty solid. Pretty solid. What I tell you, pretty solid. And it's also kind of cool that the Bears had a quarterback named fucking Moses start for them. I don't know. That seems kind of badass to me. Moses isn't like a very common name, especially for a fucking NFL player. But yeah, one touchdown, no interceptions. He did have under a 50% completion rate, but you know what? I'll give the guy a break. He also played a couple more seasons in the NFL with the San Diego Chargers, so you know what? I respect them. I respect them. Henry Burris started one game for the Chicago Bears in 2002, and that was against the Bucks, week 17, and he looked pretty bad. He threw no touchdowns, four interceptions, and they lost 15-0. He was awful that game. His total of for his time as a Bear, three touchdowns, five interceptions, not great. And this was the only season he played in the NFL. So that pretty much tells you everything you need to know right there. This guy right here might be one of the worst ones. Todd Collins. He started one game for the Bears in 2010, and he was filling in for an injured Jay Cutler against the Carolina Panthers. And his game was awful. They did get the win. They beat the Panthers 23-6, but Collins was not the reason why they won that game. Zero touchdowns, four interceptions in that game. He was fucking awful, terrible. His time as a Bear, his total zero touchdowns, five interceptions. And this was his last year in the league. He was 39 years old. He was pretty much out the door. This game was awful. This game fucking lives in infamy in Bears history, even though they won. Todd Collins, fucking awful. Terrible. He fucking sucked. In 2012, Jason Campbell, the former first round pick by Washington, he started a game for the Chicago Bears against the San Francisco 49ers where they lost 32-7, one touchdown, two interceptions. He was obviously not doing it. He would come in another game later and throw a touchdown. So his total as a Bear was two touchdowns, two interceptions. Not good, but also not the worst I've seen. Um, yeah, he started, I think, a couple more seasons in the NFL, and that was it. He only had one season as a Bear. Trevor Siemian in 2022 played one game, well, started one game for the Chicago Bears against the New York Jets. Justin Fields was injured, so he got the starting nod. He had one touchdown, one interception. They lost the game, and I mean, those are kind of typical backup numbers, I would think. And yeah, he only played one season for the Bears. The next year he went to the Jets and he fucking stunk up the place. So I'm glad he wasn't on the Bears last year. And last but not least, we have Nathan Peterman. He is best known for his time as a Buffalo Bill, where he threw a shit ton of interceptions. He was awful. He played for the Chicago Bears from 2022 to 23. His one start came in 2022, week 18, against the Minnesota Vikings. One touchdown, one interception. He wasn't great, but you know what? It could have been a lot worse. It could have been one touchdown, five interceptions. That's kind of what I was expecting when he was playing that game. But you know what? He didn't completely suck. And he got cut recently from the Bears, which is kind of sad. But I mean, I get it. NFL's a business, but he's a meme. He's a NFL legend. Okay, it kind of sucks that he's not on the team anymore, but whatever. Best of luck to Nathan Peterman, and that is it for the first tier. And yeah, let's get into the next one. All right, so the second tier of this iceberg is going to be pretty similar to the last one. The last one, one game starters. This one's going to be 2 to 4 game starters. So they were fill-ins, but they were good enough to get more than one start. And yeah, the size is pretty similar to the first tier. So let's start with our first guy, Mike Hohensee. I'm not even sure if that's how you pronounce it, but it sounds like that. So Mike Hohensee, he started 2 games for the Chicago Bears in 1987, and looking at his stats, a lot better than I would have expected. 4 touchdowns, 1 interception, and he had a 2-0 record in those games. So credit to him. He wasn't complete ass. Peter Tom Willis. Who the fuck is that? I don't know who most of these guys were doing research on this video, but Peter Tom Willis, he has three fucking names, and he was a quarterback in the NFL. Like, I can't think of another player in the NFL that has three fucking names. Like, I don't know. I thought that was weird. He started three games for the Chicago Bears. He played there from 1990 to 1993, and his three starts came in the later two seasons in 92 and 93. And was not good. He wasn't good. Six touchdowns, 15 interceptions, and the Bears were the only team he ever played for. Fucking shocker. No other team wanted this guy. All right, so this one is a famous case in Bears failed quarterback history. Rick Myrer. Rick fucking Myrer. This guy was so fucking bad. Let me just set the scene for you guys. It's 1997. The Seattle Seahawks are trying to move on from this guy. He's been their franchise quarterback for the last 4 years. They drafted him second overall, and he's just not doing it. So the Bears call up, and they want this Rick Myrer guy, and they give up a first-round pick for him. And you want to know what Rick Myrer did for the Bears? Want to guess? He didn't do shit. He was bad. Like most of these quarterbacks were. He was awful. He didn't even throw a single touchdown pass. And we trade this guy. We got this guy for a first round fucking pick. 0 touchdowns, 6 interceptions in 3 starts. What the fuck? What the fuck? We could have had anybody else in that 97 draft, and we got Rick Myrer. Like, he only lasted 1 year in the Bears too, and after that he was like a journeyman quarterback for the rest of his career. He was pretty much a backup and didn't do shit. We got this. Why did we get this guy? Why? Why would we trade a first round pick for this fucking guy? I don't get it. I don't. He wasn't even good in Seattle. So why? Jonathan Quinn started 3 games for the Chicago Bears in 2004. 1 touchdown, 3 interceptions, and 2004 was his last year in the league. Before then, he was with the Jaguars. He was a decent backup there, and his time with the Bears was a complete failure, and that pretty much marked the end of his career. Here's another famous one, Caleb Haney. Yeah, Caleb Haney. And if there's any Bears fans that are upset, I accidentally triggered their PTSD for just mentioning that name. I'm sorry. He came in for Jay Cutler during the 2010 NFC Championship game against the Packers. He was famously terrible, and he started 4 games for the Chicago Bears in the regular season. He was a Bear from 2009 to 2011. I don't know why they kept him on the team after that NFC Championship game. That was really fucking bad. In his time as a Bear, 3 touchdowns, 10 interceptions. That pretty much tells you everything you need to fucking know right there. Jimmy Clausen from 2014 to 15 was a Chicago Bear, and he started his career out as a Carolina Panther. And if you remember me mentioning Todd Collins in the last tier, they actually faced each other in the one game Todd Collins started as a Bear. And, yeah, Collins came out on top. Clausen wasn't great in that game. But as a Bear, Clausen started 2 games, 2 touchdowns, 2 interceptions. Here's another good one for you guys. Oh, this tier has a lot of good ones. Mike Glennon. He started 4 games for the Chicago Bears in 2017, and it was actually the first 4 games. Because if you remember, Mitch was drafted that year, and Mike Glennon was so bad, they would have rather played Mitchell Trubisky. Mike Glennon, 4 touchdowns, 5 interceptions, and his play wasn't the worst part about him. It was the fact that Ryan Pace, that dumbass general manager, gave him a 3-year, $45 million contract. Why would Mike Glennon? You gave that to fucking Mike Glennon. What? What the fuck's wrong with you? I'm just glad Ryan Pace isn't our GM anymore, because holy fuck, he was bad. This was probably one of his worst moves. That and drafting Trubisky. Chase Daniel started for the Chicago Bears for 3 games from 2018 to 2019. He was a pretty solid backup. I will give him credit. 6 touchdowns, 4 interceptions. And yeah, he came in when Mitchell Trubisky was injured for a few games. And Yeah, I don't think he could have been the starter for us, but he was definitely a good backup for the Chicago Bears. And this one actually comes from last year. Tyson Bagent, he started 4 games for the Chicago Bears, and in those games, he showed some promise, especially the Raiders game, but the stats aren't that great. 3 touchdowns, 6 interceptions. He's going to be the backup for us next year. He could come in for a couple of games, fill in if Caleb Williams can't play. And I think he's a solid backup. He's undrafted. It's kind of crazy that he even got to this point in the NFL. That's usually never fucking happens. And I know a lot of Tyson Bagent fans hate me because of this video, but you know what? Justin Fields is better than Tyson Bagent. Oh my god. Oh. Tier 3 ideal backup. I decided to call it that. Um, and it's not really the case for some of these guys in this category, but I decided to call it that because if you need a backup quarterback to come in, they start 5 to 7 games. I mean, that's an ideal backup to me. Some guy who comes in and starts 5 to 7 games. So yeah, let's get into it. First guy up, Steve Stenstrom. He was a Chicago Bear from 1996 to 1998. And as a Bear, he had 4 touchdowns and 8 interceptions, 1,359 passing yards. Not the best, but somehow good enough to start 7 games. This next guy is pretty popular, but not for the Bears, but for a different team, the Pittsburgh Steelers. Cordell Stewart, he was a full-time starter for the Steelers in the late 90s, early 2000s. He was pretty good with his legs, his passing game, not the best, but he made a Pro Bowl in 2001 with the Steelers. So, I mean, hey, it's kind of crazy that the Bears had a Pro Bowl quarterback on their roster, even though it wasn't for them at all. I don't know why I said technically, but he started 7 games for the Chicago Bears in 2003, 7 touchdowns, 12 interceptions. That was his only season in Chicago. After that, he went to the Ravens, and that was the end of his career. Craig Krenzel played 5 games for the Chicago Bears in the 2004 season. 3 touchdowns, 6 interceptions, but he did have a winning record, 3-2, which means he's good, all right. But he wasn't good. This was actually his only year in the league after 2004. Nothing for him at all. No team wanted him. Chad Hutchinson also started 5 games for the Chicago Bears in the 2004 season. Not a good year for us. We had 4 different quarterbacks start for us that year. Rex Grossman, Craig Krenzel, Jonathan Quinn, and Chad Hutchinson. Hutchinson, his stats were better than Krenzel. 4 touchdowns, 3 interceptions. So a little bit of improvement there, yeah. But I think he had a losing record compared to Krenzel's winning record. Brian Griese, son of former NFL quarterback Bob Griese, who won 2 Super Bowls with the Miami Dolphins. Brian Griese, as a Bear, he was there from 2006 to 2007. All 6 of his starts came in the 2007 season. He had 10 touchdowns, 12 interceptions, and his totals as a Bear, 11 touchdowns, 14 interceptions. Definitely was not good as his dad. That's definitely the case. Josh McCown, one of the greatest Bears quarterbacks ever. What he did with the Bears fucking amazes me. He was a Bear in 2011 and 2013. In 2011, he wasn't that great, but in 2013, he started 5 games for us, and in those 5 games, he threw 13 touchdowns to 1 interception. A Bears quarterback putting up those fucking numbers, that still amazes me to this day. I don't know why Bears fans don't talk about this more often. He was incredible in that 5 game stretch. And I don't think we'll ever see that again from a Bears quarterback. Hopefully we see it from Caleb Williams. But, dude, it's fucking crazy. He had a Jeremy Lin-like run there, and no one really talks about it. He was a backup for most of his career. I don't know why the Bears didn't keep him around. I guess the success may have not maintained, but like still, he went on to play like 6 more seasons in the NFL. He was a pretty good quarterback, a pretty solid backup. We got another journeyman quarterback on this list, like Josh McCown, Brian Hoyer. He played for the Bears for 1 season in 2016, and if you look at the stats, pretty good. In those 5 starts for the Bears, 6 touchdowns, 0 interceptions. Hey, that's an ideal backup right there, if you ask me. Filling in for Jay Cutler and putting up those numbers, arguably better numbers than Cutler. Got to give Brian Hoyer credit there. The record he had, 1-4, not great. He only won one game for the Bears, but that's not entirely on him. The Bears were pretty ass that season. Okay, here is another quarterback to start for the Chicago Bears in the 2016 season. Matt Barkley. He started 6 games compared to Brian Hoyer's 5 games. And comparing Hoyer and Barkley's stats, it's fucking night and day. Matt Barkley, 8 touchdowns, 14 interceptions with a 1-5 record. So he was a lot worse than Brian Hoyer was this season. And yeah, he's still in the league, I think. Last time I checked, he played for the Jacksonville Jaguars last year. I'm not sure if he's on a roster right now. I'm gonna have to look that up. And the last quarterback for this tier, Andy Dalton in 2021. He started 6 games for the Chicago Bears that year, and he was supposed to be the starter. They brought him in to be a 1-year starter. They drafted Justin Fields. He was supposed to take the reins the season following, but Dalton, he got hurt. Justin Fields ended up playing most of that year. And Dalton's stats, 8 touchdowns, 9 interceptions, which are not great stats. They're like decent, mediocre at best. But we probably should have played him most of that year because with hindsight, Justin Fields didn't end up working in Chicago. And I think Fields probably could have been better for the Bears if he would have just sat his rookie year. Just look at Mahomes, Jordan Love. I mean, if that 2021 season goes a little bit differently, Justin Fields could still be a starter for the Chicago Bears. Who knows? We are now on to Tier 4. I decided to call Tier 4 one-season bridge because these guys are kind of bridge quarterbacks. Like they have had like 8 to 16 starts, so a good amount of starts, but not too many starts to be considered, I guess, a franchise quarterback. Didn't play long enough for the Bears, but yeah. Our first guy up on this list is Steve Fuller. He was a Chicago Bear from 1984 to 1986. He was mainly in a backup role, and in those 11 starts he had 6 touchdowns, 9 interceptions, and a 6-5 record. Most of those starts came in the 1985 season when Jim McMahon was injured. He was an okay backup. Starting out this tier with back-to-back Steves. Steve Walsh, he was a Bear from 1994 to 1995. He started 11 games, all of them coming in the 1994 NFL season. He had 8 wins and 3 losses, so he had a pretty good record. 10 touchdowns, 8 interceptions. Not the best, but it could have been worse. It definitely could have been worse. Dave Krieg, I'm pretty sure that's how you pronounce his last name, but Dave Krieg, he was a Chicago Bear in the 1996 season. He's best known, however, for playing quarterback for the Seattle Seahawks from 1980 to 1991. He was a starter for most of those years, and then he started bouncing around the league for a little bit, and then 96 he ends up on the Bears. He starts 12 games, and he had 14 touchdowns to 12 interceptions and a 6-6 record. So, not the worst, not the best. Kind of similar to Steve Walsh. He was a backup who started most of 1 year and then put up decent stats. In 1999, the Chicago Bears decided to draft Cade McNown, 12th overall. He was supposed to be the franchise quarterback for them, and it didn't work out. He was a Bear from 99 to 2000. Totals 16 touchdowns, 19 interceptions. And after his 2 years with the Chicago Bears, his NFL career was over. He didn't play with any other NFL team. Cade McNown will probably go down as the biggest draft bust in Bears history. He's definitely up there. He's at least top 3. And I would probably put him over Mitchell Trubisky. Well, maybe not. They were pretty close, but Cade McNown was a complete fucking zero for the Chicago Bears. Shane Matthews, he started his career out with the Bears in 96, where he didn't start any games, but he came back to the Bears from 1999 to 2001, and he played a handful of games, 7 games in 99, 5 games in 2000, and then 2001 he played 3 games. So total of 15 games for the Chicago Bears, 19 touchdowns, 18 interceptions. Kind of those are backup numbers. He was never really a starter for the Bears. He just filled in here and there and got himself on this tier. Chris Chandler, two-time Pro Bowler for the Atlanta Falcons, and he actually led the Falcons to the Super Bowl it was 98. And yeah, the Falcons did not win that game. Chris Chandler wasn't that great, but as a Bear, he was there from 2002 to 2003. He started 13 games, a handful in each season, and he finished with 7 touchdowns to 11 interceptions. He was pretty much at the end of his career. He wasn't good anymore. Then he played one more season in the NFL. Nick Foles, Super Bowl MVP with the Philadelphia Eagles, was a Bear from 2020 to 2021. We traded for him. We gave him a 4th-round pick to get Nick Foles to bring in competition for Mitchell Trubisky. And, I mean, as a Bear, he was decent. 11 touchdowns, 8 interceptions, and 8 starts. I would say this, he definitely had his moments as a Bear, but he was not a reliable starter for the Bears. Okay, we are on the final tier of the iceberg, the franchise quarterback, and I have it in quotations because some of these guys were not really franchise quarterbacks. They played a lot of games to be considered franchise quarterbacks, but they weren't like elite or anything. Like pretty much all these guys weren't elite, but yeah, let's get into our first guy. Jim McMahon was a Chicago Bear from 1982 to 1988, and he had 61 starts for the Chicago Bears, and he is mostly remembered for leading the Chicago Bears to that Super Bowl 20 victory in 85. And the thing about McMahon, he should have been a Bear for way longer. He never played a full season. He was always injured. And yeah, he could have done a lot more. 67 touchdowns, 56 interceptions. I mean, not the best stats, but he had a winning record, 46-15, and he was the quarterback for the Super Bowl champion Bears, so he will always have a spot in Bears history as one of the best quarterbacks to ever play for them. Mike Tomczak, he was a Chicago Bear from 1985 to 1990, and he started 31 games for the Chicago Bears, but he was never the first string quarterback. He was never supposed to be a starter. He was always supposed to be backup quarterback, but a majority of his starts, the only reason why he got them is because Jim McMahon was injured, and he has enough starts, in my opinion, to be considered a franchise quarterback. Starting 31 games for a team is a lot of games. It's a lot of games. That's like 2 fucking seasons. And 33 touchdowns, 47 interceptions. He was not great for the Chicago Bears after his time with Chicago. He went on to Pittsburgh, and he pretty much put up the same numbers there. Jim Harbaugh. Yeah, I'm pretty sure I'm saying it right. I don't know. It sounds weird when I say it, but Jim Harbaugh, this is the same one who has been hired to be the head coach for the Los Angeles Chargers. He also coached the 49ers in the early 2010s. Yeah, he was a Chicago Bear from 87 to 93, and he didn't start at quarterback until 1990. 50 touchdowns, 56 interceptions in 65 games started for the Bears. He wasn't that great, and after his time in Chicago, he went to Indianapolis, where he would do a lot better, and he actually made a Pro Bowl in 1995 with the Colts. So that kind of goes to show, even if you're a decent quarterback, you're going to be fucking terrible with the Bears. You got to go somewhere else to be good. Eric Kramer started out with Detroit, and then in 94 he came over to the Chicago Bears, and in 95 he had the best season a Chicago Bears quarterback has ever had. 29 touchdown passes, 10 interceptions, 3,800 yards. Best season a Chicago Bears quarterback has had. And yeah, he came close to the 30 touchdown and 400 yard mark, but still didn't make it there. Hopefully Caleb Williams could put up those numbers consistently. But yeah, as a Bear, 94 to 98, he had 46 starts, 63 touchdown passes to 45 interceptions. One of the best quarterbacks the Bears have ever had. And like, I don't want to be rude or anything. I don't want to be a dick, but Eric Kramer, he's one of the best quarterbacks the Bears have ever had. Like, come on, you gotta be fucking kidding me. Jim Miller, he was a Chicago Bear from 1999 to 2002. He started out as a backup, but in the 2001 season, he ended up starting 13 games for them. He had an 11-2 record, which is pretty solid. Stats not the best, but that's a pretty good record for a quarterback to have. And yeah, after the 2002 season, he was done playing football. He wasn't that great. But as a Bear, 34 touchdowns, 26 interceptions, and 26 games started. And right now, I believe he's a post-game analyst for the Chicago Bears. Last time I checked, he was. Here we go. Rex. Sexy Rexy Grossman. Yep. The Bears in 2003 drafted him in the first round, 22nd overall. And the funny thing about Rex Grossman is he only started a full season once in his whole career and only played more than 10 games in a season once in his fucking career with the Bears. 33 touchdowns, 35 interceptions. And somehow, in 2006, we made the fucking Super Bowl with this guy. I don't know how we fucking did it, but we did. And did he play good in the Super Bowl? No, he cost us the game. And yeah, Rex Grossman is a name that if you mention it to a Bears fan, you will probably get punched in the fucking face. So if you're a fan of an opposing team and you go up to a Bears fan and you say Rex Grossman, I would recommend not mentioning that name. Kyle Orton, he was a Chicago Bear from 2005 to 2008. He started 15 games in 2005 and then another 15 in 2008. Wasn't great. He started 33 games for the Bears, 30 touchdowns, 27 interceptions. And we actually ended up trading this guy to the Denver Broncos for the next guy I'm about to talk about. And the guy we got back for Kyle Orton was Jay Cutler. Yes, the meme himself, Jay Cutler, dude. He did not give a single fuck. And he's by far, the best quarterback the Bears have ever had. It's not even fucking close. He was a Bear from 2009 to 2016. 154 touchdown passes to 109 interceptions, and 102 games started for the Bears. The second place for touchdowns is like 60-something, dude. The Bears haven't had shit. Nobody. Cutler is by far, not even fucking close, not even a competition, the greatest Chicago Bears quarterback. Come on. Oh, Care Williams, please, we need you to be good. We need you to be good because our best quarterback ever can't be Jay Cutler. It just can't. It can't. Okay? It fucking can't. Mitchell Trubisky, a.k.a. Mitch Kissin' Titties. He is, sadly, one of the best quarterbacks the Bears have ever had. He was there from 2017 to 2020, and he had 64 touchdown passes to 37 interceptions. And you might look at those stats and think, oh, he wasn't as bad for the Bears as I thought. But the thing that makes Mitchell Trubisky very terrible is that, dude, we drafted this guy second overall, and we traded up for this guy. That's not worth second overall, dude. We got this guy over Patrick Mahomes. Patrick Mahomes. I'm not sure if Mahomes would have been that great with the Bears, considering it is the fucking Bears, but Trubisky, you thought Mitchell Trubisky, a guy who started only one season in college, was going to be worth a second overall. What? And the last quarterback, Justin Fields. I saved the best for last. I have a soft spot for Justin Fields. He was really fun to watch as a Bear. He wasn't as successful as we wanted him to be. 40 touchdown passes, 30 interceptions. He only lasted 3 seasons with us. We recently traded him to the Steelers, but Justin Fields, he was really fun to watch. And everything that happened here wasn't entirely his fault. He was not put in the best situation. We got him when we were rebuilding, we were changing regimes, we were going from Matt Nagy to Matt Eberflus. And I mean, he's one of my favorite Bears players. I know he wasn't elite or anything or a franchise quarterback, but I mean, I had fun watching him, and he's definitely one of the best Bears quarterbacks ever. Just with pure athleticism, if you take that into account, one of the best. All right, and we're done. I went over every Bears quarterback to start at least one game since they won it all in '85. It was a lot of quarterbacks, definitely. It was a lot. I think 44 in total. Hopefully, the list doesn't get any longer in the next 10 years, because if it does, I might have to make another video. But I'm done. I could catch my breath. And I hope you guys enjoyed the video. This video took me a while to make. I had some fun making it. And yeah, I hope you guys uh, stick around and watch some other videos of mine. But I hope you guys enjoyed it, and I'll see you guys in the next one.